The storm was already gathering over the city when Arham Malik stood outside the small community school, waiting for his 7-year-old daughter Zara. Thick grey clouds rolled across the daytime sky, swallowing whatever sunlight was left, and a cold wind whipped through the empty street. He pulled his worn jacket closer, not realizing that the day, which had started like any ordinary workday, was about to twist into something he could never have imagined. Because within the next few hours, the woman who signed his paycheck, the unreachable, impeccably polished CEO of the very company where he worked, would be standing outside his broken gate, soaked, shivering, and utterly lost. And he, a tired single dad living on the edge of the city, would be the one to offer her shelter. No one would have believed it, not even him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories to you. Aram had already lived enough storms for a lifetime. 2 years earlier, he had lost his wife during childbirth complications, leaving him with a newborn child and an emptiness that kept widening. As a construction supervisor earning a modest wage, he balanced long shifts, parenting, and a grief that clung like a scar. So when he started working as a part-time caretaker for Silverline Enterprises, the company led by its stern, distant CEO, Miss Samara Khan, he never thought their worlds would intersect beyond formal greetings and instructions. Samara was known everywhere as disciplined, sharp, and fiercely protective of her privacy. She carried the air of someone who had built her life from the ground up, brick by brick, leaving no space for spontaneity or mistakes. People respected her but feared her more. That afternoon, before the storm erupted, Arham had been fixing a wiring connection in the office basement when he overheard 2 employees talking. They whispered about Samara's personal life, how she was raising her 4-year-old son, Zaid, alone after her divorce, and how she seemed even more stressed lately. Arham didn't give it much thought. Everyone had burdens. Some just hid theirs better. By the time he picked up Zara from school, the first drops of rain had started falling. She held his hand tightly, her little backpack bouncing behind her. "Baba," she said softly, "will the storm break our roof again?" There had been a bad leakage in their small rented house last month, and the memory still made her anxious. Aram bent down, brushing her hair lovingly. "Not this time, my John. I fixed everything. Don't worry." He wished those words were as solid as they sounded. They reached home just as thunder cracked across the sky. He hurried inside with Zara, making sure the windows were properly shut. The rain intensified within minutes, slashing sideways, turning the streets into rivers. Arham cooked a simple lunch, bread, eggs and leftover lentils, and tried to distract Zara with her drawing book. He was washing the dishes when a sudden knock shook the wooden door. Not a gentle knock, a desperate, frantic one. He froze, exchanged a glance with Zara, and stepped toward the door. When he opened it, he stumbled back in disbelief. Standing outside, drenched from head to toe in the icy downpour, was Samara Khan, the CEO he had only ever seen in spotless suits and luxury cars. Except today she was anything but composed. Her pale blue blouse clung to her like second skin, her hair was plastered to her face, and in her arms she held her trembling little boy, Zaid. Both were shivering uncontrollably. "Aram!" she gasped, as if speaking cost her effort. My car broke down. The road collapsed near the junction. No signal, no houses nearby. I saw your name on the gate. I remembered you lived somewhere around this area. I didn't know where else to go." For a moment, Arham couldn't speak. Zara peered from behind him, wide-eyed and confused. Instinct took over. "Come inside, quickly!" he said loudly over the roar of the rain. He held the door wide as Samara stumbled inside, clutching her son. The warmth of the room fogged around them as they entered. Arham immediately grabbed towels, wrapping them around mother and child. Samara tried to apologize between shivers, but Aram shook his head firmly. No need. Sit. Let me get something warm. His house was humble. 2 small rooms, simple wooden furniture, warm-toned walls fading at the corners, but at that moment it felt like the safest place in the world. As the storm continued hammering outside, Arham boiled water and made hot tea for Samara and warm milk for the kids. Zara offered her own blanket to Zaid, and the 2 children sat together, forming a bond born out of shared fear of thunder and innocence, unbothered by social class. Samara slowly regained her breath. Her eyes, usually sharp like polished glass, now looked exhausted, vulnerable, and full of gratitude she didn't know how to express. "I didn't want to trouble you," she whispered, voice trembling less now. "But the road really collapsed." I panicked. Arham placed a steaming cup beside her. "You did the right thing. You saved your child. That's all that matters." For a moment, their eyes met. Hers filled with unspoken worries, his with an empathy he didn't need to explain. It was the first time Samara looked at him not as an employee, but as a fellow human carrying his own wounds and courage. The hours passed slowly, the storm refusing to calm. While the children played quietly with Zara's old toys, Samara noticed the walls repaired unevenly, the ceiling patched from water damage, and the lack of luxury she was used to. But instead of judgment, she felt something else, a piercing realization that behind Aram's polite greetings at the company there had been a man silently fighting life's battles with dignity. At one point, Samara pressed her hand against her forehead and sighed deeply. "I don't know how everything keeps going wrong," she murmured. "Running a company, raising a child alone, meeting deadlines, all without falling apart." Her voice broke slightly. "Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning and smiling at the same time." Arham understood that feeling more than she knew. He sat across her, speaking gently. "Strength doesn't mean never breaking. Strength is when you break, but still choose to stand again. You're doing that every day." She looked at him, truly looked, and something shifted. By late afternoon, the sky softened into a muted grey. The storm finally began to quiet, leaving behind puddles, broken branches, and the fresh smell of wet earth. But inside the small house, something else remained, an unexpected warmth. Samara walked to the window, watching the softened rain. "Arham," she said softly, "I misjudged you. I always thought you were just another employee, quiet, hard-working, but distant. I didn't realize. You carry your world with so much courage." Arham smiled faintly. "We all carry something heavy. We just don't talk about it." The children soon fell asleep, Zaid resting on a cushion near the sofa and Zara curled beside him protectively. Samara draped a shawl over them before turning to Arham. There was a long silence, not uncomfortable, just full. "Today taught me something," she whispered. "Power doesn't come from status or money. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones living the simplest lives." Her voice had changed, softer, real. Arham didn't know what to say, so he didn't. He simply let the moment breathe. When the evening light turned golden through the clouds, it illuminated the small room in a way that made the scene almost cinematic. The humble furniture, the warm colors, the sound of water dripping from the roof, and 2 adults sharing a quiet moment of vulnerability. The storm outside had ended, but something inside them had begun. Over the next hour, Samara cleaned her sons' clothes, helped Arham prepare a light meal for the kids, and even assisted in organizing a few scattered items. She felt strangely at home, grounding herself in the simplicity she had forgotten existed. Arham noticed how her eyes softened whenever she saw the children, and how she carried exhaustion like a silent shadow she'd never allowed anyone to see. When the driver finally reached the area with a repaired vehicle, Samara hesitated at the doorway. She wasn't ready to leave that quiet, sincere space. With Zaid in her arms, she turned to Arham once more. "Thank you for everything today. You didn't have to help me, but you did." Arham smiled gently. "You're a mother, and you were in trouble. Anyone with a heart would have done the same." "No," she said quietly, shaking her head. "Not everyone would have." Her gaze held his for a moment longer. "I won't forget this." She meant it. In the days that followed, something changed between them at the office. Samara, who once walked past staff like a gust of wind, now paused when she saw Arham offering a small smile or asking about Zara. She even arranged medical benefits for part-time workers, something rarely done, citing employee well-being. Colleagues noticed, some whispered, but neither Samara nor Arham paid attention. They were no longer CEO and employee, not entirely. They had become two people connected by an unexpected storm, two single parents carrying scars and responsibilities, two souls who had seen the tenderness behind each other's struggles. One afternoon, a week later, Samara invited Arham and Zara to a company family event. Her tone wasn't formal, it was hopeful, and when she watched their children play together under the clear blue sky, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. Connections built in chaos sometimes grow stronger than those built in comfort. Some stories don't begin with roses or candlelight. Some begin with broken roads, thunderstorms, and a desperate knock on a stranger's door. And sometimes the people we least expect become the ones who change the direction of our life. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps us continue creating stories that heal and inspire. Special request, please leave a comment about which moment in the story moved you the most. It means a lot to us. And as for Arham and Samara, maybe the storm didn't destroy anything that day. Maybe it brought together two lives that were meant to cross.